Welcome everyone to the webinar on the University of Michigan Press ebook collection. My name is Amadi Pasquale and I'm the Library Engagement Manager for Michigan Publishing. So I've been working with many of you on getting your access set up if you have purchased the collection, and working with you over the past few months if your institution has been interested in the free to read access during COVID-19. Thank you all for joining today. So I just want to give a quick overview of what we'll be covering today. We'll start with a little bit of background on the press and the University of Michigan ebook collection itself. I will be going over some features of the University of Michigan Press ebook collection on Fulcrum, our digital publishing platform that we've developed at Michigan Publishing. I'll talk a little bit about our COVID-19 response and the free to read access that we've implemented. I'll talk a little bit about current and future library engagement plans, and then we'll have some time for some questions and answers at the end of the webinar. So we have a couple polls today, and the first poll that I'm going to launch here is pretty basic. We're just wondering why you decided to join our webinar today. So we'd love to know if it was to better understand how to use the product, to learn more about the product in general, to inform a specific purchasing decision, to learn more about Fulcrum and the University of Michigan Press kind of more specifically, or if there's something else that's not covered here, please feel free to send it via chat. Give it another second here. Okay. So great, looks like folks are pretty interested in learning more about the product and really how to best use that. So that's great. I hope that today's webinar will really help you reach those goals. Thank you for sharing. So a little bit of background on the University of Michigan Press. It was founded in 1930 and actually became a part of the University of Michigan Library in 2009. And I'd be happy to chat more about that a little bit later. Published about 100 new books a year, and we have about 5,000 titles published to date. Our key lists include political science, performing arts, classics and archaeology, American studies, African studies, and Asian studies. So we'll kind of dig into the content and how our platform best supports these humanity and social science fields in a couple minutes. We also have a small trade list that's mainly about the US Great Lakes region, as well as an English language teaching list as well. The press is very committed to digital scholarship, and we've been increasingly talking about more open access titles, especially in the midst of this pandemic. So we'll talk a little bit more about our values and especially how we like to connect with our library community in the next couple slides. So a little bit of context about the collection. We're in our second year of our ebook collection. And really when we launched the collection last January, we had three kind of key goals in mind. We really wanted to simplify the purchasing of the University of Michigan Press ebooks. As I'm sure you're all very familiar with, it can be kind of complicated with different aggregators and different kind of access models and different, permissions for users and things like that. So we really wanted to simplify that. Our second goal was to support open source infrastructure. So as I mentioned, the collection is hosted on Fulcrum, and that's a community-owned open source platform. And it was really important for us to support that as we saw more and more folks kind of appreciating that move, and we wanted to be able to collaborate with other publishers in the field who were creating other tools to really use this new kind of digital scholarship. And our third goal was to support our authors' desire to enhance ebooks. So you'll see that a lot of folks, especially who have been publishing lately, have included so much rich media, whether that be images or video or embedded like data, just so much that they were collecting in their research that we really wanted to be able to support and display to give users the most kind of rich reading experience they could have. So that's kind of where we were when we really launched the collection, and we're excited that we're continuing to support these goals, especially now that we've really been able to build the community and have a lot of opportunities to get feedback from our library community and different users, which is really helpful. So this is kind of a quick overview of the collection. The ebook collection offers complete coverage of all scholarly titles published by the press for any new calendar year, with at least 80 titles added annually to a list of currently 1,300 works about in the collection. And really, some of our main kind of values here are outlined by being library friendly, comprehensive, and providing the most enriched experience possible. So the kind of best way to interact with the content is in the collection on Fulcrum. In terms of the library friendly values, we allow for unlimited multiple users. Content is DRM free with irrevocable perpetual access and archival rights. We are Counter 5 compliant. I'll talk about that a little bit more later. We also offer alt metric and citation metrics, which I'll also talk about in detail a little bit later. We offer free KBART files and MARC records. And we also have implemented the ScholarLink feature, which allows a link that you're able to share that will provide folks read access for 28 days. And we'll show you where you can find that a little bit later. In terms of the ebook options, there's very rich metadata that's included not only on the ebook record page, but also in the different media components that I'll show you. We have an interactive table of contents and media list, which makes it very easy for users to navigate in between kind of the components of the book and jump to different places in the book. We offer DOIs for all books and resources. So those are, stable, citable links that folks can easily get to, and that very easily tracks kind of different metrics like alt metric and dimensions. It's open URL compliant. Folks are able to download PDF and EPUB 3 versions of the titles. And to clarify, because I know some of you are free to read access currently, the downloadable PDFs and EPUB 3s are for our purchasing libraries. That's currently not a feature that's enabled during this free to read access time. And lastly, folks have the option to buy print at a discount right from that main ebook record page. In terms of the enriched experience, it is an EPUB 3 and PDF e-reader that's optimized for web use. It has a variety of different accessibility features, which I'll talk a little bit about, one of which is reflowable text, so that makes it easier to transition to your screen on your mobile device and iPad. We offer embedded audio, video, databases, a lot of different media elements within the e-reader itself, and then we have those elements kind of linked outside of the text as well for folks to explore in more detail. We also offer transcripts for audio and video files, and a lot of this is outlined in our voluntary public access template, the VPAT, which is accessible online on our website. And we're an open source platform, as I mentioned. So our code is shared on GitHub, and our development team, which is through the library IT department, is constantly working to develop new features and share back to the general code base, which has been really cool. So a little bit more about Fulcrum. This is the mission statement we've kind of developed around the platform and supporting our digital scholars who are working really hard with us to create content that really takes full advantage of the platform. And that is that we believe every scholar is a digital scholar. While UMP EBC is a collection of scholarly ebooks we sell to libraries, it's more than that. At Michigan, we're trying to create an ecosystem of support for authors to achieve their goals and a space where libraries, publishers, and readers can invest in transparent, fair, and innovative solutions for digital scholarship. So this is something that we really strive to do. And like I said, the feedback we receive from all of these different stakeholders has been huge in our development and working towards making sure that this is really what we're creating. And our 4 values and kind of design principles that we have outlined below here help us, help to guide us in doing that as well. So accessibility is a key component of the scholarship as that kind of goes through, the different transmittal processes. Discoverability is a key piece. We want folks to be able to access this content and find it in a lot of different ways. The durability piece speaks more to the preservation. Being situated in the library, we understand how difficult the preservation piece can be, but also how important it is. So we've worked hard to craft our preservation statement that is also available at fulcrum.org, which I will be sharing links to, and I'll be sure to share these slides so folks can easily find these links and different documents on our website after the webinar. And in terms of the flexibility, that speaks to, our need to kind of understand what scholars are thinking, what they're trying to do, and how we can best support that. With the move to digital, there's so much to consider and to factor into our development process and to our acquisition process. So these are the 4 kind of guiding principles, as I said, that have been really helpful in shaping our way forward. I did want to share our pricing. I won't spend too much time on this, but since we did recently just announce not only an extension of access to the free to read initiative currently, but we also announced that our pricing will remain flat for 2021. So we, every year we try to be really transparent in this pricing, and as we were communicating increases before, this is obviously not the case for 2021, but we want to make sure that it's fair and that folks can easily access that and understand kind of the tiers and why it's priced the way that it is. So this is available, it's linked at the end, and it's available on the Lyrasis webpage, but I did just want to share this for folks if you were interested. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about the features of the collection on Fulcrum. So these images here demonstrate kind of what you'll encounter right when you log on to fulcrum.org/Michigan. And again, some of you might be familiar with this as you've been exploring the collection. But in the top right corner here, you'll see, or excuse me, the left corner, you'll see an ebook record page. So if you click into a title, this is what you're going to encounter. You'll be able to see the table of contents. Next to this image on the top right, you'll see what you would view when you click the resources tab. So it just gives you kind of a quick overview of all the different media that would be incorporated in the book, if it has any media resources. And then the stats tab shows kind of a general overview graph of the interaction with the text over, I think it's a couple-week period. So that's available immediately as you enter that page. You have the option to download the PDF and the ebook from that page, as well as buy the book. And then there's some other metadata, including whether or not the title is open access, the blurb about the book, the subject, the citable link that you can share out that will track the altmetric score, which if you can see that kind of red and green tiny little box underneath the title, or excuse me, the cover image there, that's why we encourage that citable link, because that is how that picks that up. And then below, you'll see what happens when you click read book. This is the e-reader, and I have another picture or two of this. But from the main page, you'll be able to do a faceted browse, search and filter different titles, whether that be from a different funder if it's open access, a different series that the press has done. So lots of ways to kind of find the content that you're looking for from that main page, and then a few different options once you click into the ebook record. Once you click into the e-reader, this image has a highlighted blue text, that's a slightly closer up image of the e-reader. You have a couple different options. You're able to read it kind of in a scroll view or page by page. So this view shows the scroll view. And then this preferences image that I have here in the gray box is what folks are able to pull up in the e-reader. There's kind of a wheel icon that's the preferences, and folks are able to adjust the display, adjust the text size so that it works for them. In this top bar here, where there are some other icons, the 3 lines is how folks can toggle on and off the table of contents. So you're able to jump to different chapters in the book or different places in the book from there, and it's not on all the time. So it's nice that you can turn that on and off. The resources tab redirects you to that resources page. So that way you can click into an image and see it in a little bit more depth and see the metadata and kind of toggle with that resource a little bit more. The citation button will provide a citation in MLA, APA, and Chicago format. If you click that, the search in the text box allows you to search, it's a full text search within the specific book, and it will highlight your term and bring you to that specific place in the title once you select that from the menu that pops up on the left. This little box with the arrow pointing out allows you to share different elements on social media, and then the Scholar Share link you'll see is the bar with the arrow pointing down. And as I mentioned, this allows folks to share a link to the ebook so that it's free to read access for 28 days. And like I said, this just makes it easier to share out for accessibility reasons as well. So a little bit more in the e-reader here with this image up in the left corner with the big video. So you'll see this is an embedded media component, a video. It has the captions enabled right in the e-reader. However, if folks wanted to jump out to this to view it more specifically, like it's displayed over on the right, it would take you to this more in-depth kind of record where you could see the transcript, like it's below this image here where it's highlighted, and you can go through it that way. And you can look more at the permissions, the technical information. Sometimes, depending on the permissions and whether or not the author has allowed for download, you might be able to download a video or an image or a podcast or an audio clip, and you can share it from there as well. Hopefully you can see the share button from that page, and you can share it out to Twitter, Facebook, and a few other platforms. So this here is our readership map, and folks actually can access this from our main page. If you go to fulcrum.org/Michigan, it's right there in the main header. It says visualize, impact, and engagement. So when folks click on that, they can see the readership map, and in the next tab, our Google Analytics Data Studio report. So the benefit of having the DOIs on both our ebooks and the different media components is that facilitates discovery and tracking of engagement. So different citations, different kind of tweets, it captures a lot of different interactions with the titles, including like news, syllabi, book reviews, other components like that. So that's available to view on the altmetric and dimensions badges, which I'll show exactly where to access that a little bit later. But in terms of just kind of general understanding and visualization of the global reach and engagement, this has been a really cool tool, especially as we've opened access up and so many more folks from across the globe have really been able to view and use our content. So this example, you can click on one of these pins and see, okay, where was this user? What were they interacting with? Was it an open access title or not? So this has been a really cool tool to use, and it's linked below here, which again, I'll share these slides so that folks can easily access that. So kind of going along with this discoverability piece, as I mentioned, that's a really key component for us. So we've been actively working on several different things that can facilitate optimal discovery of the collection and our titles. So our library, we work with our library to create our MARC records. Those are free to download via OCLC or our website, press.umich.edu/librarians, which I have linked later in the slides as well. We also offer KBART files, which are available to download from the website, but also available via OCLC. We have Onyx feeds available, including for open access titles, and we have various discovery relationships with OCLC, ProQuest, and EBSCO. And as I mentioned, individual assets and works are discoverable by those DOIs, and it's also open URL compliant. So a little bit more about some of our open access initiatives and books. The option to find all of our open access titles is right on our main homepage. So it's actually the first kind of faceted search box on the left. Folks can click down and select yes, and it'll filter to all of our open access titles. This number has actually gone up. We're closer to 150 right now, with more coming with some recent content launches, which I'll talk about in a minute. But it's nice because it's easy to find that way, but it's also clearly marked on our title list, which is available to download from our website. And the MARC records also clearly indicate OA status, as well as being able to easily find that on the ebook record page, as you can see by that big orange lock that says open access right next to it. So we are in the process of launching an open access book collection. It's the Michigan Asian Studies Open Access Collection. And this has come about from NEH and Mellon. It's about 100 titles from some different organizations on campus that are really key titles in the area of Asian studies. And we've been working on getting some of these titles up on the platform already, but by the end of July, I believe we should have close to the total amount up on the platform. So we're excited about this partnership. These are available to filter. You can select it in the funder category on the website, but you can also find it in our OA facet, and you can read more about the project and kind of how this collaboration came about at this link here. And like I said, I will share these slides so that folks can easily access those links. So a little bit more about some other kind of exciting new content developments on the platform. Some of you may have heard about the Gabi project, which is an international archaeological initiative that investigates the ancient Latin town of Gabi. And we've talked about this title for a while. This was one of our earlier titles that was a big undertaking for our team, but ultimately super rewarding, in that we're really continuing to build on these different features. So this was published in a digital form as an interactive scholarly work, and there will be another volume of this, I think, in the coming months. And each volume provides a synthesis of the excavation results, and that links to the relevant kind of spatial, descriptive, and quantitative data. So this here, the top image is our e-reader screen, but the actual written portion is on the left, and then the 3D model is on the right. So folks can kind of drag and drop and really explore the site in different ways there. The image below here is an image that folks are able to access through the digital model and on the resources tab. But I'll show some additional images here as well. We've recently added the feature of interactive maps. So now not only is the 3D model integrated with the text, but now these interactive maps allow for a more detailed analysis of the context. And these are just some images here of an excavation site. And then, that's on the top left here. And as you can see, kind of these different toggles that you can zoom in and out, kind of pan around and zoom in with that magnifying glass. And then, sorry, this image on the right here provides pop-up data rather than kind of being forced to go to an appendix in a kind of different form. Folks are able to get some of this data, but also click this link out to the database to get even more in-depth kind of details about this specific unit. So we're really excited to be able to support even more archaeology scholarship with these feature developments. And we're really excited about two recent launches, the most recent of which is the University of Michigan Museum of Anthropological Archaeology. So we'll be sharing some more updates on that content, but we have about 200 titles from the museum publication series that we're really excited to support. And their publication program has been going on for a few decades now. So it's a really cool collaboration, and we're excited to kind of brainstorm new possibilities as they start to acquire some new titles. And BAR, the British Archaeological Reports, is a recent collection that we launched on the platform. It's separate from UMP EBC, but it just goes to show that you know, we're really in a place where we can take on these larger collections and really facilitate this great kind of digital availability. I know a lot of folks who work in the field, BAR is such a critical resource, and folks are really excited to have that online, especially since with more of the work that they're doing now with different media elements and what we can provide them on Fulcrum. It's just a much more enriched experience. And that collection is also for sale to libraries. So I want to talk a little bit about our library engagement. So as I mentioned, my position is engagement manager, and this is, it'll be a year in September that I've been in this position. So it's a newer position for us. And it's really exciting that I've had the chance to interact with folks now, not so much at the conferences, of course, but really get to know our community and really understand the needs and kind of the desires of our various stakeholders. So one of the big initiatives, as I mentioned, that we've been communicating a lot about and really trying to listen to our community about was the need for access to content during this pandemic. And of course, we were very attuned to that starting early March when everything kind of shut down. And ICALC, I'm sure many of you saw, issued a request kind of asking publishers to allow access to different content. And of course, that very much aligns with our mission and values-driven approach. And we, of course, wanted to facilitate the best kind of transition into online learning and teaching that we could. So initially, you know, we were listening to the community about extension through June. And of course, now that we are today, here we are on June 30th, we can see that, you know, this is clearly a much longer road, and making sure that we extend access through the end of the summer to give students and faculty and libraries just more time to adjust and more time to plan for the fall semester was absolutely critical. We were happy to collaborate in that way and extend access. And free to read and fully open access models, as demonstrated by some of the recent content launches, are a growing norm for our press. And we are working hard to understand and engage with libraries and faculty in the coming months to understand, you know, the need and desire around different access models. Of course, we work with a variety of different libraries, a lot of different sizes, and so it's always interesting to hear, you know, who has the different resources to set up different authentication pieces and all the technology that sometimes goes into getting access to this online content. It's not, as you all know, always the most simple kind of path forward. And so we've been working with libraries to make sure that students can access content from wherever they are in the country if they're no longer on campus. So we're excited to continue working with folks to make sure that we understand, you know, how to best support everyone going forward in the next few months as we I think a lot of campuses are doing kind of a more hybrid or high flex, or whatever folks are saying about online and in person. And we're interested and excited to see how this affects all of our communities going forward. I think this was a huge change, obviously, in the need and understanding of the critical nature of having digital scholarship. So another poll here, we are curious, and let me launch our second one here. We're curious, since the pandemic started, how much of your library budget has been redirected to purchase digital collections and ebooks. We've heard from a lot of folks that there was a major shift, and of course we completely understand the cuts that have happened. We at Michigan have experienced major budget cuts as well. So we're just curious. As I said, we've heard from a lot of folks that it's been maybe completely redirected to digital, or there's been much more conversation and interest in purchasing digital collections, especially those that you've been able to freely read and get stats on. So give folks another second here to answer this. Okay, and this poll. Okay, so it looks like we have one at more than 50%, one at less than 50%, and some that are unsure. And that's completely understandable. I know that not everyone is maybe involved in all of those day-to-day conversations and decisions. So that's really helpful to know. And I think, again, we're just trying to understand and support folks as there are cuts and challenges that won't necessarily go away in even the next fiscal year. So I do want to talk a little bit more about library support and resources, and especially right now as we're really trying to understand how we can continue to grow this area and best support libraries as they're trying to best support their students and faculty. So currently we have a few different places for folks to turn. We point folks to our librarians page on the press website, which is the top window here. And this has general information about the collection. It has a lot of different places to download a few different things, including our title list, an overview flyer, a technical FAQ, and the chance to watch our most latest webinar, and then some more information about the community members, other purchasing libraries, things like that. Right below that image is our technical FAQ. So this is where you'll find information about titles, MARC records, discovery service relationships, how frequently the MARC records will be updated and communicated about, various things like that. And we also have a Lyricist product page that is where we have our pricing information, discount information when we're offering a discount and things like that. It's where you can also put in a request for pricing and for a quote. And like I said, some of these different items link out to Box. So those are our main resources, and we've been now in my role really thinking through how to take advantage of MailChimp in various kind of like newsletter updates, our YouTube channel, creating more video content. So we have different plans. But it's of course very helpful to hear from you all what's going to be the most helpful. Oops. And we really have been thinking through engagement and usage. Of course, a huge part of my job is supporting folks with the counter reports and getting folks different information that they need to bring back to their team and obviously make the most informed decisions possible. And we understand that, counter is not like the end all be all, and there's definitely some shifts happening around usage and kind of stats. But as I've mentioned, we have altmetric and dimension scores, and that's title level activity. So on the left here, you can see this is an altmetric page, so you can see kind of the different shares and mentions. This title in particular was heavily tweeted about and mentioned on Facebook. And you can see kind of the Twitter demographics in the summary here. And then of course, in the other two tabs, it'll break it down a little bit more. So that's helpful, you know, especially for our authors and faculty when really wanting to see the interactions around a specific text. But of course, I know that sometimes librarians are interested in the larger picture. So we are Counter 5 compliant. We have our various counter reports set up on our counter report page. But we know that folks are interested in other reports, and we've been working to kind of not only tweak this page so that it's the most user-friendly as possible, but understand how else we can maybe set up the page to facilitate the most kind of comprehensive view of use possible. Now I do have another poll here that will kind of help us to understand what will really be helpful to continue developing as we think through these kind of key areas, especially in my role. So we're curious to hear what you prefer to consume in terms of support resources, whether that's video content, downloadable PDFs, the ability to browse online kind of on the websites we have set up, through webinars, or perhaps other methods that we're not even thinking about. Okay, so I'll give folks another second here. Okay, thank you for your participation. It looks like downloadable PDFs, browsing online, and webinars are kind of the key components here. So that's great, and I'm glad you're here today in one of our kind of main kickoff webinars here. So that's great. Thank you for sharing. So just kind of based on the conversations I've had with our library community and the kind of feedbacks folks have provided, I just wanted to talk about how critical the library roles have been in not only supporting the digital collections, but just providing feedback and kind of guiding our way forward. We've been super excited to work with various libraries of our publishing authors as a partner in producing content, not just as a service provider and supporting access. So it's been really great to work on a lot of these features and kind of making sure content is ready to go for the platform. That's been a really interesting and fun way to collaborate with a lot of different institutions. So many of my conversations have been so critical in helping to understand the changing needs of users and how users actually want to use the content. And then I'm able to share that back with our development team, and then that informs how we kind of plan out our development sprints and how quickly features get implemented and fixed and things like that. So that's been a really, really helpful feedback for our platform, for our team. Of course, too, in my conversations and working so closely with our library community, it's so clear that the libraries are very supportive of the infrastructure and best practices that we're trying so hard to implement, and hopefully, encourage other platform and infrastructure builders to follow as well. So bringing the values of preservation and accessibility and appreciating kind of the work that we're putting in there has been key. And kind of lastly, documenting shifts and changes in cultural memory practices to support diversity, equity, inclusion, pulling in a variety of voices and making sure that we, of course, being situated in the library, are very aware of this and are pushing ourselves, especially in the light of recent happenings, to be better in a lot of ways. And it's so nice to be part of a community that continues to encourage that kind of same thinking. And lastly, the support of the reduction of the digital divide. So how to kind of produce, access, and really reuse digital content has been huge. We're so appreciative for libraries that really kind of champion the digital scholarship and ebook work that we've been doing, and appreciate how much you can kind of facilitate that in your own campuses as well. So we have our last poll here, and we're just kind of curious, since we talked a little bit about how folks can typically purchase the collection, and now we've implemented obviously this free to read access for a few months. We're curious, I'm sure it's been on the top of a lot of folks' minds, which type of model your institution or you might be most inclined to fund going forward. So of course been a lot of conversation about how much this pandemic will shift the way of various presses and publishers. So there's of course the purchase to own model, subscription, which are both more restricted, a membership model, subscribe to open, or a more collective model, which is more open access. Or if you have another idea or thought about that, you can of course send that via chat. And it's of course tough to say for sure for some folks right now. I know that it's sometimes a lengthy kind of process for not only like publishers to kind of transition and think through how we might change an access model, but also difficult to anticipate how that might affect budgets and your teams as well. Okay, so I'll end this. Couple insure and purchase to own, which makes sense for now, right? It's still kind of a confusing environment for sure. So we do have about 13 minutes here for questions, and I want to make sure that folks can ask anything that I haven't covered, or share any different thoughts or comments that you are thinking about. So I'll give folks a couple minutes here. If you want to use the Q&A, I'll be sure to read the questions out before answering. Okay, is UMP thinking about sushi? Great question. So we recognize that is a requirement to be fully Counter 5 compliant, and it is something we are aware of and have gotten a few requests about. So we are actively working with our development team to plan out when that might happen. That's of course something we will announce as soon as that's clear to us when that might be launched, and of course when it has launched. But yes, that is a major priority for us, and something we understand is really important for our libraries. So thank you, that's a great question. Any other questions? Do you offer subscriptions, or would you? That's another great question. So I'll just kind of step back a little bit and say that Fulcrum hosts a number of collections and different publishers, and several of them have different models. So the UMP EBC is not a subscription model. Folks purchase different collection years and have term limited access to our backlist during their year, their first year of the collection. The ACLS HEB collection is another one we host on Fulcrum, and that's a subscription model. And I know sometimes that can be confusing to remember all of the different models for the different collections. We aren't sure how we'll think through a change for UMP EBC in terms of a model, but as I mentioned, that's something we're excited to really start discussing in more detail with our library community, and that we were happy to kind of feel out a little bit in this just very kind of brief poll question today. So I hope that answers that. Thank you for that question. Any other questions? How many books are OA? That's a great question. Thank you for that. So we currently have about 144 titles that are open access. And then, as I mentioned, we'll be continuing to add more open access titles from the Michigan Asian Studies collection. And then I know we'll have even more titles in our spring 21 list that are OA. So that number will continue to increase in the coming months. But currently it's a little above 140. Thank you for that question. Any other questions? Do you work? Okay, now we have 2 questions. Great. Okay, for older titles moving into Fulcrum, ones that weren't planned for, do they get updated with different interactive media also, or are they a more static ebook format? That's a great question. So currently, our priority with older titles would be accessibility updates, but we aren't necessarily thinking that a lot of the older backlist titles, for example, will be updated with more interactive media. It's definitely an accessibility question first, but for other titles, maybe not necessarily in the University of Michigan Press ebook collection, that can sometimes be more of a question, say for the bar collection where they have different images and things like that. But we're just really focusing on incorporating a lot of media in our newer titles. And a lot of our newer titles actually, and our forthcoming titles, really kind of push the boundary of the ebook anyway, where we have some different kind of podcast books and really kind of new and cool ways that we're thinking of ebook and kind of the typical monograph. But like I said, it will be more accessibility updates than necessarily going back and adding a lot of media to older titles. So that was a great question. Thank you. Okay. What portion, if any, of your books are on JSTOR or Project Muse? Difference between front and back lists? That's a great question. I'll need to triple check on the exact number on JSTOR and Project Muse. I know that it's more of our backlist titles. We have not been sending our front list titles, but I think, and this is Harold, thank you. I think we chatted a little bit about this at ERNL a couple months ago, and it's possible I still owe you a very specific answer on this. So I'll double check on that and we'll share that information out. I believe that we have this exactly detailed out on our technical FAQ page, but I'll be sure to double check there. So thank you for that question. And then one other question here, do you work with Primo? We do, and once again, the status of our various relationships with the discovery vendors are also on our technical FAQ, and that will be a link that I'll be sure to share out after when I send out the recording and survey link. Okay, are there any other questions? And I move here to the next slide, just show a couple links that we have where folks can get to the technical FAQ page, access some OA titles. You can go to the Lyrasis page for pricing and quotes. And then I do want to give a quick plug for our University of Michigan Press author talks. So we're running an author live talk series through this summer, and that's a really great way to obviously learn about our content a little bit more in depth. We have some exciting projects coming up and very lively authors who are going to be great in conversing with us. So if you are interested, you can register for some of the talks at this link here. Like I said, I'll be sure to share that out. And of course, you're more than welcome to email me with any specific questions that you have. I'm the second one listed here, or Linnell White, who is the Director of Sales, Marketing, and Outreach, and her email is listed here as well. So if there are no other questions, I'd be happy to give everyone 5 minutes of their day back But we really appreciate your attendance and your great questions and your support of our work here. And as I mentioned, I will be sure to circulate these materials. And please feel free to shoot me any questions that you have that come up later. But we, once again, really appreciate your attendance today. I'm going to stop sharing here on the recording and on the webinar. So thanks again, everyone.